Performing studio for Alonzo King's Lines Dance Company. Pharoah Sanders is doing the music for their performances at Yerba Buena Gardens next week, the 4th through the 13th of April. And we'll be talking about that. But to get into the mood, Pharoah has brought his saxophone in here, and we're going to switch over to the performance studio where Pharoah Sanders is ready for us.
beautiful.
Yeah, so seems almost wrong to talk after that. So, Pharoah Sanders, thanks so much for coming in and sharing your music with us here at Sing Out.
Thank you very much.
Also in the studio, Alonzo King, who dances to Pharoah's music. You've done it before, and you're going to do it this week.
That's right.
So, with your Lines Contemporary Ballet Company. And I'm wondering how you ran into Farrell, or how you got, because you did a performance before with him a couple of years ago.
Right. I met Farrell's music years ago, and it moved me. And actually I'd done dances, created dances to the music before, when I was 17. And so to have the opportunity to work with Farrell was a dream come true. And our first collaboration, Ocean, was an enormous success. And since that time, to have the opportunity to create another ballet has been a wonderful experience. And here we are again.
Right. The Lines is performing this Friday night through the following Sunday, right? April 4th through 13th?
That's right.
And I'll give the ticket information number a little later. And this is one piece that's in that production.
Yeah, there are two other ballets on the evening. One is called Clang, to the music of Miguel Frasconi, a local composer. And also we're doing Handel, a piece to Handel, George Frederick, to his concerto number 6, his opus 6 in the Concerto Grossi.
Okay. Those are both with recorded music, but as I understand it, Pharoah Sanders and his band are going to be performing live while the dancers are doing this new ballet.
Every night.
Whoa.
Yeah, there's nothing like a live music, because then you have the opportunity of spontaneous response. So it's really living art.
Yeah. Is the piece written yet?
In terms of the music?
Is the music composed?
It's improvisation. Yeah, there are ideas, very specific ideas, and then there's room in those ideas to take it different ways. But the worlds that we're setting up musically and choreographically, we come in agreement on, and the musicians come together so that there's harmony and understanding about where we're going to. And then in that direction that we're all headed to, there's room to express.
So everybody is going to be doing something different every time you perform this.
Well, it's if I say that there's a specific idea, and if that idea is a celebration, at a particular point in the dance there will be a celebration. If there's a point where it's sacred, then at that point all minds will become sacred, because that's the focus of the direction. If there's a point where this is rhythmical, then at that point in the dance it will be very rhythmical. So the ideas are really have to do with the texture and what we're trying to express. So it's not random, that the ideas are very specific, but in that there is room for play.
Right, so it may not be totally composed at this point, but it is fairly well arranged as to
that's right.
what the point of the piece is, where you start and where you're going to end, how you get there.
That's right.
And if Pharoah is playing a different sax melody at a certain point and the drummer is playing a slightly different rhythm than they did the night before, the dancers are going to respond to that slightly differently.
That's right.
But the emotional experience is going to be the same, probably.
That's right.
So it still seems a little scary to me to get up there every night. And it's one thing to do a Handel piece and you know where all the notes are going to be.
Well,
it's a different kind of challenge.
The funny thing about those kinds of works is that often when it's canned music, you have to work harder to keep it alive, because you really don't want to get up there and do a dance routine. You want it to be alive, and you don't want to dance canned. And so you really have to open up yourself, because your awareness has to be heightened. And so with that, with live music, you are really living in the moment. And that's really how the artist would prefer it, as opposed to having some neat routine set to counts that they're going to repeat the same every night. Because even in the Handel, because of the night, because of the hugeness of the mind and your take on different things at different times, each night it's going to be different too. And if it was the same, I'd be really disappointed.
Yeah.
So that it's not a dance routine, but it really is living art, if that makes sense.
Right. Well, and there's 12 dancers up there too, and what, 4 people in the band?
No, there's about 7.
Okay.
Yeah, we have there's 2 harps, French horn, bass player, cello, a tabla, piano. Oh, and koto.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this is a heavily multicultural just from the standpoint of the instrumentation.
That's right.
Yeah. What kind of music?
For me, I have to go back to that term idea, because the music, for me, you can't put in a place or say it's a type or a style, but I can say that this part is cerebral, that this part is love, that this part is compassion, that because that's what the essence of the vibration of sound that's emanating from the instruments, which is informing the ballet and supporting the idea of the dance. So I wouldn't talk about this culture or that culture or this kind of sound, but that these musicians are coming together to create vibrations that in essence talk about universal ideals.
Yeah. How do you come up with dancers who can respond to the way you're coming from?
You look for dancers who are really smart, who have a strong point of view, and who from early on they understood why the law was the way it was. They didn't follow blindly. So these are people with a real strong point of view, who have strong opinions about the art and have developed an artistic voice. So they're mature.
Yeah, and there's a sense that you want to be part of a group to achieve this.
Yeah, it's that a lot of times in training, dancers, real artistic dancers, don't want to play Simon Says. They want to understand where you're going, and they want to bring all of their experience to it. That way, it's a real collaboration. Because, I mean, the thing about children that inspires me is their maturity. So when a dancer has freedom, because there's mastery over the technique, and they can make that second nature and go on to, bottom line, communicate ideas clearly so that they're simple, because it's about communication. They're not worried about themselves. They're not worried about how they look. They're not fussing with technique so much as getting this thing across so that they're understood. Instead of, oh, you looked good. I really heard what you were saying. Thank you. I got it.
Right, or that was a good performance, but there's something deeper that you want to get out of a performance. I wanted to ask you, there's a lot of ways to dance, a lot of ways to present a ballet, a lot of ways to have a ballet company. And could you talk just a little bit about how you ended up with yours? This one's been going for 15 years, and even though I'm sure it's still got, its direction is still based on how you started it, it's probably been evolving somewhat in that time.
I think with your last statement, when you talked about a good performance, that art all began with ritual. And so with that idea, because we've taken it to these theaters, when someone walks into the theater, like in the beginning, a ritual by its very meaning should transform you. So that when you go into that theater, when the curtain closes or when you step out of that door, you should be a different person. That there should be some experience that changes you. People don't want to get dressed up, come home from work, have to take a shower, go out, and be bored. There has to be some communication that reaches you that you understand. People also want to be able to recognize what they see. Because if there's no recognition in themselves, then it's an algebra that they don't get. And I think for lines, a lot of the pedagogy, all of that stuff is there, but our obsession, once again, is talking about things that are universally human. And like your program that you were saying earlier, it's about getting out of the body And because we're triumvirate, right? We're spirit, mind, and body. And so all those things want to be addressed. And so often in dance, the education and the way people view it is only body. Mm-hmm. But there's all these other symbols, all these other meanings. And the spirit has to be addressed. And that's really what Lines is really all about.
Yeah, I think with some exceptions that are pretty humorous, I think a lot of the music that I picked to play on this show goes back to that, what you were saying, the transforming experience. Our culture seems to have gone through this period where the arts are more interested in spectacle, and people seem to think it's better to go out and see bigger explosions or louder music or fancier costumes or whatever, and you walk out and you don't feel somehow, I keep using that word, transform. You don't feel like you're in a different place. You feel like you saw something that was really spectacular, mm-hmm. but you haven't changed inside.
That's right.
And I know the music, whether it's Farrell Sanders playing solo saxophone or or a solo dancer or a 150-piece orchestra doing Mahler's Ninth or something.
Mm-hmm.
We go to that because we as humans want to go to come out of a place different from where we went in, and that's what the arts are for.
Mm-hmm. Man does not live by bread alone.
Right. I was going to ask a question. Instead, I made it a statement, but I think it's just basically a restatement of what you were talking about. So getting back to the company again, you were dancing in other groups before you started Lines.
That's right.
And what was the impetus to start a group of your own and have to then be in charge of dealing with something that has to be self-sustaining?
I think it's like a cook who studies and works with other people, and then one day you start your own restaurant.
Yeah.
You want to run your own kitchen. I had also, just like the dancers that I hire, very specific ideas about the things that I wanted to do. And when you're young, you want the imprimatur of a large company, for your ego. And then after that, you show off your skill, and after that, you want some real dialogue so that you can grow from this art and build yourself on it instead of displaying yourself. And that's just the direction I went in, because so often dancers, when you have to just show, you're really naked. And you're dressed when you can get really into a role that you have a dialogue with, that demands maturity, that demands every part of your body, mind, and spirit. Then you're not worried about audience or how you look, and you're not naked because you're so fully dressed, because you're wrapped in this character and in these ideas. And that's supportive, as opposed to go out and display on stage to try to please people. It doesn't work. It leaves you empty.
Yeah, so that's kind of like the artists are in the same position as the audience. We all want to go to some higher level.
That's right.
And
exactly. That's it.
Okay, and hopefully that can happen every night for the next week, starting April 4th, Friday night, with Lines Contemporary Ballet. Again, Alonzo King, thanks so much for coming in. And
thanks for having me in, Larry.
Talking about art and your company, which is, as we mentioned, performing live with was it a 7-piece band?
I'm not good at numbers.
Okay. A band with a lot of musicians, including 2 harps, koto, tablas, Pharaoh's saxophone,
right,
and
cello,
other instruments. And what is there a name to this piece yet? This ballet?
No, there's not.
Okay, and there are 2 other ballet works that are being performed April 4th through 13th at the Center for the Arts Theater at San Francisco's Yerba Buena Gardens, which is for those who like to take public transportation. It's right there. You go to the Powell Street BART station, for example, and head south, and it's just a couple of blocks away. I'm going to give a phone number for this, but I think I'll wait until after we hear some more music, because I think it'd be really wonderful to go out of this with Pharoah Sanders supplying a little more music to put us in whatever that mood is for tonight. So thanks again for coming in. Alonzo King, who's leading Lines Contemporary Ballet, and Pharoah Sanders, who is performing with the ballet this week. Pharoah, it's all yours. Pharoah Sanders live here in the performance studio. Thank you so much, Farrell, for coming down and sharing that music. I think it makes a wonderful frame for Alonzo King's comments on art and why we're alive, basically, the transforming experience. Celebrating its 15th anniversary year, Alonzo King's Lines Contemporary Ballet is returning to San Francisco Center for the Arts Theater at Yerba Buena Gardens for the world premiere of a new ballet by King, which, as he mentioned, doesn't even have a title yet. The Pharoah Sanders and other musicians will accompany the dancers on, or actually it'll be a collaborative event. It's not one where one accompanies the other. So now we'll get to the details in case you have your pencil or pen ready. It starts Friday, April 4th at 8 o'clock, and there will be performances at 8 on Saturday, April 5th, 2 p.m. Sunday the 6th, 8 p.m. Wednesday through Saturday the 9th through 12th, and 7 p.m. on Sunday the 13th of April. That's all starting this Friday and going on. For ticket information, you can call lines at 415-863-3040. That's 863-3040 in the 415 area code. And for tickets, Bass carries them. 978 Arts, ARTS, also has them. But if you call the Lines number, it'll tell you what you need to know about everything else. Okay, so we are tuned to Sing Out on KPFA. I'm your host, Larry Kelp. As I mentioned,